Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Ange. Today I'm here to share 2 of my top tips on how to learn German in a native way. Let me start off with a couple of facts about me and how I ended up coming to Austria in the first place. So first, I came to Austria when I was about 13 years old, and I came here to study piano at the music university. My very first year that I came here, I did not speak a word of German. I ended up going to a bilingual high school where we mostly spoke English, and I have so many wonderful classmates who were very kind to me, but at the same time who wanted to learn English and speak English with me. So it was very natural that we ended up speaking English most of the times, and I didn't really get the opportunity to speak a word of German. And I realized that that was becoming a huge challenge for myself because I was living in a German-speaking country and I didn't have any basis or any foundation in the language to get me started. I decided to concentrate on 2 things, and this is also my 2 tips that I'd like to share with you all today. Alright, tip number 1. It is so essential for you to really concentrate on getting into the local cultures. So previously I made 1 episode on how to really get the groove of a language, and I really emphasize the importance of feeling it, finding an entry point, learning language as if it's not really a task. You don't really have to invest so much of energy in learning it, but then get drawn into it naturally and do it as your hobby. So this is exactly what I did. I did have a hobby of getting to know local people. I know a lot of people say get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble, right, and start getting to know local people. And yes, with all that being said, I think another point that you really have to focus on is local etiquette, culture, sayings. I think this is really important. So let me give you an example. In German-speaking countries, if you go to Germany, if you come to Austria, you would usually, if you learn it from the books, it would be Guten Tag, right? However, if you're in Austria and you paid a bit of attention to what local people really say, and you go into any kind of bakery, a shop, or any of the places that you go into, the first thing that people would say to you is Grüß Gott. And so by paying attention to these small details and really working towards imitating local people and what they would say, so that is for me the very first thing that you need to do, right? So to integrate yourself completely, and this is how you become a native, because you don't want to sound like a tourist. So try and see and observe really well what local people would say, and instead of saying Guten Tag, you would say Grüß Gott. Or you might say Servus, right? And I don't have any problems with sounding a little bit like a local dialect or anything. I don't know about any other people, but for me, I think it's a great thing because dialects and accents bring people closer, and this is exactly what I enjoy. So I like to feel that there's no boundaries anymore between me and the person that I'm speaking to. So this is why I really emphasize, please do try to observe closely to local cultures and the way that people speak to one another, and then try to bring that in naturally into your daily flow and your daily language. Now, there's this other thing that lots of people differentiate and say, okay, there's a difference between Hochdeutsch, which is the more, I'd say authentic German coming from Germany, and then you also have the Austrian German that we speak here in Austria. And I think that there's a lot of controversial and interesting conflicts when it comes to opinions on this topic. Some people prefer to sound more German, while others are just like, I'm in Austria, I don't have to sound German. I would just speak Austrian German and it's totally fine. And my personal opinion is adapt yourself. So no matter where you go, become a chameleon and start adapting yourself to all the dialects and accents. So if I'm in Germany, great, I respect the people there, I try to do their dialect. And if I'm in Austria, I am totally fine with going to the really, really deep dialects of the country, and I think that's totally fine. So it doesn't matter from which province you're from which region you're from, as long as you can get closer to the people and you feel that your boundaries are becoming less and less and less, that's exactly what you want to do. And once you've grasped that, you will become a native easily. Second tip, and this is something that I always say to my friends, I totally understand, and I myself was also in that situation. You guys know the feeling when you go to a restaurant or you're going to a bank to do certain things, or you know, insurance matters and all of that, and then you bring your friend along. And this friend is probably local, he or she is probably a native in the language, and what happens when you go to a nice restaurant, you sit there, you know, look at what's in the menu, and then you're like, ah, this is what I like to have. Can you please order that for me? Yeah, right? And then your friend gladly does that for you. So when the waitress comes or waiter comes, then you just let your friend order for you. So you end up going to restaurants, bakeries, whatever, and you always, you know, go in with your friends, and then you've never ordered once. And so this is the typical scenario. And now, if this is just once or twice, it's a really small thing, but if you're living in a country and you want to become a native in the local language, or you always mingle around with, you have so many friends around with you, and then you let these friends do all of that for you, you will never ever learn the language and you will never become a native. So I think the most important thing is to be brave and to really go ahead and take care of these small things on your own. If you obviously need assistance in more difficult tasks or something like that, totally understand. You can always ask a friend to help out. But small things, ordering things, you know, at a bakery, or ordering your own food in a restaurant, should be done by yourself. Do not rely on anybody and force yourself a little bit. I think, you know, back in my days when I first came to Austria, I was really forced. I was really put in a super forced situation where I couldn't really have the option, yes, I do this on my own or not. I had to, and I was super young, so at that time my mother didn't speak any German either. I just think that the most important thing is you have to force yourself. If you're too comfortable, then it's not right. Now, once you've grasped tip number 1 and 2, and you don't really have any boundaries, and you feel super confident, and you're not giving yourselves too much of excuses and making yourself too comfortable in learning the language, this is the time for you to really systematically think of ways to get deeper into the language. And by that, I always say look into phrases. I don't like to concentrate on vocabularies. I think if you are, you know, if you know words that are super deep and, you know, extraordinary vocab list that you have in your head, that is brilliant. But I think initially, in the beginning, you really want to get phrases out and you want to practice on your flow. So I think fluency is the first thing that I would work on. Eloquence, fluency, anything that gets you into the flow of the language, you should definitely consider. Don't remember everything in words, because words are not going to help you at all. You need to go ahead and learn phrases. So I would really recommend learning things. If you went ahead and learned phrases by heart, then choose phrases that are also realistic and useful on a daily basis, and not anything that you'd, you know, be reading in literature probably once in 2 years. It is nice to get to know those phrases, and it's definitely great for your own knowledge, but I think first of all, in order to become a native, you really have to have a good flow in your speaking. And you know, if you stutter all the time and you stop and you know, that is just not a nice feeling. It's not pleasant for the person listening to you, and definitely doesn't help you make progress. So you want to concentrate on things that you do really best, perfect that, and then move on to more sophisticated phrases in the future. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope these tips are helpful for you, at least setting the right mindset when you want to become a native in a certain language. Let me know in the comments below if you guys were in the situation that you really let your friends do all the ordering for you, and that you didn't really get a lot of practicing in that language, and you sort of went into a phase where you relied on a lot of people around you to do the speaking. And yeah, and also some of your other interesting stories that you might have experienced along the way of learning languages. I'd love to hear them, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so glad and super thankful for every single like, and please do make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out on any cool content in the future, and let me know what you guys would like to see. Wishing you guys a wonderful day and see you next time. Bye!